Hey guys, Jen here. It is officially Easter Sunday, Passover, and Christ is risen. And I was compelled to make a video. I woke up at like 2 o'clock in the morning and I couldn't go back to sleep. And I think it's because I had another dream yesterday afternoon, and it's been a little while since I had one that I was compelled to write down and share in video. And I'm going to try and upload the video I made on the 3 Days of Darkness. I don't want to do that over. It was good the first time, so I'm going to try and upload that if I can find it again. There's so many that I have saved, it's hard to go through them all sometimes. But I had this dream, and I like to show you nice art, so that's for you to look at, and it is related to the dream. Let me preface this by saying I've never ever dreamt about Mary before, and I will also add that I had been missing a mother aspect as far as God went. And I always ask, do we have a mother? Should we say he, she? What do we do with that? And no, I'm not getting bent up about gender. That's not the point. The point is, you go to a father for certain things, and the father is the one who leads. He is the head. He protects all these things. But a mother you go to when you need gentleness and nourishment of the soul and compassion in a different type of way, a different kind of protection and care, I guess. So when I repented of disregarding Mary, because she is the mother of Christ and we are supposed to honor her, and I do believe it is error because of all my personal experience and because of how I see doctrine can get easily confused in the hierarchy in our own minds. Mary is our mother, as far as the Catholic Church is concerned. And so I apologized to her and said that I was sorry for neglecting her, and I repented. I have kind of a devotion to her now. I've never really had a good, solid mother figure, and I have a couple of shirts with her on it, and I found a neat thing, of course, at the consignment shop, a neat little I don't even know what to call it, a statue. It's smaller, though. It's kind of just the bust. And by somebody Santini. It's from Italy, so it's really cool. So I have to tell you about this dream. And so I wrote it down. And it's going to sound like it's long. There's like a few pages to flip because my journal isn't a full-size notebook. So I hope that you'll just bear with me if there's noise and all that type of thing. I apologize. It is what it is. I'm just a woman in her bedroom. So I'm going to start at the beginning of this dream, and at the end I will explain the pictures that you're looking at, or maybe as I go through it. And so let me find the page it starts on. That would be good. There it is. So another dream. It's officially Easter, Christ is risen, and I'm compelled to write down a dream sequence I had during a nap yesterday afternoon. A sudden drowsiness had overtaken me, as I had not planned to rest, so it could be assumed that the message was meant to come through. Because of this, and because it's been some time since I had such a dream, I reasoned it best to document. As is the usual way, it played out in just a few short, As is the usual way, it played out in just a few short scenes, yet a symbolic manner. Sorry if that's awkward. In the first scene, there were 3 children in my line of sight. I got the feeling there were more, but 3 were, quote-unquote, highlighted by a bluish, effervescent moon glow. If you ever seen the movie, and yes, I did write this down in parentheses, the others, the aliens at the end of the movie, The Knowing with Nick Nolte, that's the kind of glow I'm talking of. All 3 children resembled one another. They were all almost pretty much identical. I don't want to say they were identical, but they seemed to be. With all three praying on their knees, with a rosary, murmuring with a rosary in their clasped hands. As stated, there was the impression of more children, but only these three were highlighted. I felt the need to write that down again. This gave me the knowledge that all were in similar situations, thus only three needed to be seen to discern the message. That means that all the other children that were there were kneeling as well, praying or murmuring. You could hear like this pss, 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 like type of whisper sound, but it was like overlapping and layered. Kind of when you sing a song and one person starts and then the next person starts when that person hits the second verse. So the whole song is continuously playing. Kind of like that. Okay, sorry. There was a hazy mist surrounding them which trailed off into tendrils in the background. It is important to note that the Passover timeline was currently at the 3 days between Christ's crucifixion and his resurrection, when he descended into Hades, hell, to preach his gospel. Now this is the most amazing thing, though it was frightening. The most amazing, though frightening detail. Mary was behind these boys, though I could not fully behold her. She too was whispering, and she was a little bent over, and I'm going to move to another painting. Oops, wrong way. If you've ever seen Our Lady of Guadalupe from the Guadalupe apparitions and others, this is how they depict that glow in the background. And that's important to note. It will come up in a minute. But she was kind of bent over, right? Just slightly at the waist. Right, so there was 3 days between Christ's crucifixion and his resurrection when he descended into Hades to preach the gospel. Now this is the most amazing, though frightening detail. Mary was behind these boys, looking much like this, very close, but not exact. She was more dressed like that. But I wanted you to get the idea of what I'm speaking of there, okay? And this is, it's important, I believe, so for those who have ears to hear. Mary was behind the boys, though I could not fully behold her. She too was whispering, so I moved closer to better hear all of them. Mary was slightly bent over as she whispered to the boys. As I reached the boys, their whispering could be heard and understood to be more of a chanting. Chanting as under a trance, because they were looking forward, and they were like, I could see that they were kneeling, I could see that they had rosaries in their hands, so I was able to see their profile as they did this. They were looking like to my left, and what's odd is I never even looked to the left. I was more focused on what was happening here. I assume they were probably looking at the cross or Christ, but again, much of it was clouded in haziness, and it was a little darker on the right than the left. I think that meant day and night. Because of this, I reasoned they were speaking what Mary was whispering. So if she's been over whispering in their ears, I get the idea that they were more vehicles or oracles for what Mary was saying. And often Mary does this, or has done it in the past. She would use children to pass along a message. Okay? And, it's more, even especially if it's a negative message, it's easier to handle sometimes, I guess, if there are the children. But Mary is also our mother, so it makes sense that, people are seeing her with children. She's speaking to children. It just makes sense. So what I heard in 3 layers was this. Some will be Protestant. Some will not be. Some because of this. Some in spite of this. Some will be. Some will not be. And that's what I heard them whispering, like kind of on top of each other in like these layers. But I understood it all. And it's all happening at the same time. I want to make that clear. This was, even though the video is running long, it was a very short sequence, a very short dream. As I tried to move closer to Mary, as she was still set back and her voice was too low, the dream was interrupted by the other. I'll get into that in a later video, or if you have questions. Most of you know what I'm talking about. these dreams that I've had before, there's always this other entity, like an evil one, trying to basically steal information from me to get to know what's being said and know what I'm hearing. But anyways, so the dream was interrupted by the other. This beast tried to interrupt the dream to harass me as it had in the past, usually to interrogate me. Mary held it back. That is not to say that she physically moved, nor even gave him any notice. Her mere presence was holding him back, which greatly angered him/it. She appeared, as she often does, in paintings with a blue light behind her. I think Our Lady of Guadalupe. So if you can picture this thing's trying to get into my dream, right? And usually it can. And now I can only see a portion of it, like its head and its hand. And the hand is literally where you see this glow around Mary in that red area. It was literally trying to like push that back, like almost like she was a doorway, but she wasn't a door, she was a closed door, right? And it started getting angry because it couldn't get through. So in the past, this intruder has walked right in, though I can usually wake myself up. This time, from my angle, it tried to pull open the scene, its hand on the reverse side of Mary. He could not open the scene as if it was a door. Its face grew distorted from rage. I got the feeling that it was thinking at me, "How are you doing this?" It was clear he was unaware Mary stood there barring his way. So I don't think he even saw her. Think of him behind her and the back of her as like a two-dimensional thing. And so I don't even think it saw that she was there. Okay. All of this I took in at once as if no time had passed and no time had passed away. The dream switched to a normal scene with the children no longer glowing but normal and greatly multiplied. In the crowd, quote-unquote a loved one, no names, walked toward me but stopped when he saw and heard the children naming his sin aloud. So they were like telling me what this person, had been doing wrong, but not in an accusatory way, not in a nana boo-boo way, literally just reciting it much like they were in the earlier sequence, though this part was normal looking, Mary was no longer there. This is odd for several reasons, the main one being this is one of my giftings at times. I've recently heard it referred to as soul reading. The cleaner and shinier I am, it seems the more I see of these things, that I see of that on a person. I remember thinking, whoever is responsible for all of these children? Then I woke. It's important to note a couple of things. The entire episode was very short, though detailed. The murmuring of the children could refer to the souls saved, martyred, or raptured. Finally, the quote-unquote beast in the dream appears to have shown its face when it had not in past dreams of mine. It usually literally looked like a bobblehead of a relative, like it was masquerading as one of my relatives in my dreams. So it had not shown its face when it had stalked me in past dreams. It reminded me of a Rougarou or Sasquatch story I recently heard that had an interesting addition. Such beings stalk those in sin and not following proper Lenten practices. Was that added due to an agenda? It reminds me of one dream when this all began in 2017, when I had dreams of, I don't know how to say this without getting a strike or a hit. I had dreams of certain, we'll say assassins that had went into the churches. That's how all of this started for me. Thank you for listening. I hope you are blessed. I hope it's a blessed day for you. And if you have any thoughts as far as interpretation go, of course, share them. Be respectful, okay? This is not easy for any of us. Love you. Bye.